Wow, I am really out of practice. This is gonna be a fun one. I have not shot a video in a while. I mean, like, not a proper video. But anyway, hello and what is up, YouTube? My name is G3Iron and welcome. Today's discussion is going to be featuring two-button recommended builds for you to play in the upcoming 3.14 Ultimatum League. Now, you might be wondering why it is that I'm going to be recommending two-button builds, and you might be wondering where it is that I've been. Well, take a look around. I'm in a new spot, new home, new job. New baby was back in July, and new state, all sorts of new stuff, new setting. And then, of course, we've got new league that's coming out like literally today. So wanted to surprise you guys with just a few of my thoughts on Ultimatum and how to start with Ultimatum. So without any further ado, let's get into today's discussion. The primary reason why I'm interested in two-button builds is because of PoE 2. You can see the beautiful gameplay footage and all of the test show-off of PoE 2's Act 2 scenario being shown right here. And this is the primary reason why I'm interested in two-button builds. It looks like Path of Exile in general as a game is going towards a direction where you're going to be able to use, and not just be able to, but more be encouraged to be using multiple skills over the course of your combat experience in each and every single combat zone. In other words, it used to be in Path of Exile when they redid Vol Gems, it used to be maybe you would have like a Vol Gem sitting around inside your build just as a nice burst for like a map boss or maybe an encounter unique creature that you might bump into. That doesn't seem to be what they're going with in terms of the direction where Grinding Gear Games is aiming for Path of Exile as a gameplay experience to go. It seems like two-button builds is going to be more of the baseline. That doesn't mean that every single build in PoE 2 is going to require two-button builds. I think there's still going to be plenty of builds that are going to be very viable that might even not require you to press any builds, like Necromancers, for instance. I think Necros and Summoners are going to be exceptional in PoE 2, unless they get smashed with the Nerf hammer. But anyway, enough with the rambling. This is why I'm interested in trying out two-button builds in 3.14 Ultimatum League. It's because this is what I seem to think the horizon is going to look like for PoE moving forward. So I want to try out some two-button builds, and I've never played any two-button builds really before. I mean, I guess old self-cast ED Contagion would, basically be a two-button build, and maybe every once in a while a two-button build here or there, like if I was supporting a main damage source with also some totems, maybe that qualifies as a two-button build. But really, most of the builds that I've played, if I'm popping up a second button, it's just for a boss or just for a particularly difficult rare. And it's not because the regular everyday combat encounters that you're experiencing require two different skills to be used at the same time or intermittently in order to get the biggest bang for your buck. And that's where I think the game is headed with PoE 2. So without any further ado, here are the two builds that I'm going to be taking a look at for League starting in 3.14.
I fought, wept, and bled for God and the Order. I would have died for my Templar brothers, every single one.
The first build is going to be Big Duck's Blade Blast Inquisitor. His video guide, like walkthrough on this particular build is really, really good. He's actually just pumped out just today a top 5 recommended or top 8 or something. I don't even know the numbers, but he came out with his top 5 or top whatever. Again, I don't know the numbers, but his recommended starter builds for 3.14. But that's not the video that you need to watch. The video that you need to watch is the 30-minute in-depth Blade Blast Inquisitor video introduction, which walks you through the POB, the items, the gems, the gameplay, even the nerfs that are coming with 3.14 and exactly what it'll look like. He goes through and he features in a tier 16 map exactly what the build can do when it's on like a one link with like some of his gear taken off. It's absolutely beautiful. Really like the way how Big Ducks has gone through and presented his particular approach to the Blade Blast Inquisitor. And I really like the way how he actually answers a lot of questions, a lot of FAQs that would come up in his video. Normally when I recommend starters, I'm requiring that they've got a forum guide and a POB and a video, but Big Ducks does such a great job of walking players through, even new players through, in his video guide that I think even though it doesn't have a forum guide listing, I think it would be helpful enough for new players just to jump over there. So that is the number one build that I'm looking forward to trying out this league. I think that it should be cheaper maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of different builds that are going around, and supposedly the Blade Blast Inquisitor has gotten a little bit of a nerf, and so I hope that scares away a lot of people from wanting to play it, and that'll mean that it's cheaper for me to gear and play. So I'm happy with that. That's my thought process here. Oh, by the way, if you want to watch that Big Ducks video, it's linked down below in the video description. You can just click down there and go watch his 30-minute description, and you tell me why you think that build would stink for this league. I think it's going to be great.
I care naught for riches, little for friendship. The duel is all I need. I may be in exile, but I will carve a road back to Oriath, one foe, one victory at a time.
All right, the second 2-button build that I'm excited to try out this league is Alcatraz BR's EarthShatterer Champion. I have stayed away from Melee for the most part. Oh, Iron, why would you play Melee? I mean, aren't you the guy who always rails against Melee? Yes, Kermit, you're right. I almost never play Melee. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually excited to try it out. I almost never play 2-button builds anyway, so if I'm going to play a 2-button build, why not play the EarthShatterer Champion that has got a ton of tanking options and a ton of DPS options, and I really haven't messed around a whole lot with Warcry builds since the Warcry rework and since the Slam rework. So now that it's been out for a little bit, why not go back, give it a shot, see exactly what it's like. Now, why choose this build in particular? A couple of reasons. Alcatraz does a great job in his forum guide of answering questions, walking through the pros and the cons, and then also answering questions in his forum thread. He actually engages and gets back to people. That's always a 2 thumbs up for me. On top of that, it is a proven build with multiple players playing the archetype over several different leagues. In other words, it's not just one guy's theory craft on a new gem with new items and never before seen actual gameplay. It is a reliable archetype that you can even use in an SSF scenario because it doesn't necessarily have any uniques that are required to really make the build go to the moon, as it were. You can simply play it with rare gear, which means if you want to scale the build, whether it's an SSF or in Trade League, and simply build out and dump tons of currency into crafting your own rares, then you can do that. This is, again, a wonderful, I think, melee option for both DPS and survivability options with a great gameplay forum build guide to go along with it. So 2 thumbs up for Alcatraz BR's EarthShatterer Champion, and I'm looking forward to trying it out during 314 Ultimatum League. Well, thanks so much for joining us for today's discussion, everybody. I'd love to hear in the comments down below your thoughts about the upcoming 3.14 league. What are your strategies for this league? I think for me, I am going to go heavy risk reward, and I'm probably going to brick some stuff, and whatever, that'll be fine. That's the nature of any risk reward vol themed league that there is. And so I'm very excited for that, for hopefully bricking lots of really expensive stuff, and maybe I'll actually make something that's decent as the league progresses. That's going to be at least some of my strategy. But what are you league starting for 314? I'd love to see down below in the comments what build you've decided on. And then if you've changed your strategy from previous leagues or not. Have you begun to develop a sense of how you want a league start versus maybe how you used to league start? What are the differences between how you league start now versus what you used to do on league start? And maybe there aren't any changes. Maybe you just have found a reliable strategy that you rely on and that you have found to be reliable in producing you currency and getting your character into maps early and often. But if there is a difference, I'd love to know that as well. Thanks so much for joining us for today's video discussion, and I hope that 314 Ultimatum League is a league where a Mirror of Calandra drops for you.
Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.